Dear village, I need you. I need you because today I'm going through a transition. What I used to call home now means me, my mom, and my sister are going off on our own, and for reasons that I can't fathom, my father won't come along, so I need you to tell me I belong. When everyone around me offers a different perspective of what's right and what's wrong, and I'm facing adversity with my back against the wall, I need you to show me how to respond, because if you don't, then all I will ever know are these walls around me. Without my parents, I wouldn't be here. Yes, that's the reality, but as I continue this journey, unsteadily following footsteps laid before me by the Creator, I'm learning that simply being here isn't enough, and I need you to show me how to get going when going is tough.
Even today as a man, I struggle with being an unselfish father. I said, even today I struggle with being an unselfish father, uncommitted to ministry, harboring pain of an unforgiving heart, poisoning the inner me, waking up every day feeling like nothing I do will ever be good enough for you, and you. Yeah, I have parents, but I need a village for this stuff because it's heavy. It's heavy. And that's what our kids are screaming every day. That the world we created around them is too heavy for them to carry alone, and they need everybody they come in contact with to help them carry that load. It's heavy.
Mr. Smith, have you ever heard the term, it takes a whole village to raise a child?
Yes, sir.
Do you believe this term is relevant in our community today?
I like to say that it is, but based on what I see, I struggle with that.
Really?
I don't see a lot of unities in the community.
One of the major issues is parents got to take a bigger responsibility. We can't get parents in the building unless we offer free food. And that's the bottom line. It hurts to say that, but we had an event sponsored by Hakima and Sister to Sister where over 200 parents were in the building, 200 adults were in the building. The very next day, it was a Saturday, and we invited them out for their kids, to do a fashion show and do an education bowl. Three parents showed up. If we'd have put, but the issue isn't the chicken or the food. The issue is parents got to play a bigger role. You got to take more responsibility and not leave it up to everybody else. Yes, it's all of us as a village. It's everybody's responsibility to encourage and motivate these kids. But the parents, it starts there. It starts at home.
And his name is Lil Mouse. He's 13 years old, and in his music video, Get Smoked, which means killed, Lil Mouse is waving around cash and guns. He's known for his age, size, and lyrics. And most of his lines deal with everyday life in his neighborhood. Patrick Trapp has been working with adolescents for 15 years. He says even at a young age, children who grow up in high crime areas are only acting out what they see every day.
Kids who are surrounded by violence, and it's kind of what their culture, everyday culture is largely about.
So they're just living their reality.
Yeah, well, they tend to then look for, like we all do, anything that supports our reality.
I'm not making a little kid a coke boy. Right. You know what I'm saying? So when all that came out and this and that, it was kind of like, I was kind of disturbed by it to see somebody that young, because I wouldn't want my kid doing that.
Fun to do bad things, to drive into a car.
But did you know that you could perhaps kill somebody?
Yes, but I wanted to do hood rat stuff with my friend.
And I know what causes this behavior because all he's ever seen was his parents do physical, abusive, and verbal things.
We often make reference to the African proverb, it takes a whole village to raise a child. What that means is it takes for us to make a choice to take responsibility for our community. And for every kid we come in contact with, to create that circle of support which starts at home, where the kids learn core principles of respect, honesty, integrity, and they carry that outside the door with them to school, after school programs, church, neighbors' houses. They carry those principles with them. So what happens when that circle of support is broken before they even walk out the door?
Do you have any children, Mr. Smith?
I do.
All right. Do you think the relationships that you have with people and that you've had with people in the past play a role in the standard that your children set for their relationships that they have with people?
Now, the interesting thing about that, Brother Braxton, is that I had no relationship with my son. I've been married. This is my second marriage. Okay. I actually married my childhood sweetheart back in the day, and when I didn't have a clue. There was no example, if you will, that was set before me, so I was just winging it. Yeah, you know, the sex and all that, that was the good part. But on the flip side, I didn't have a clue. Yeah. So as a result of that, I never had a relationship with my son because I never understood that concept about being a father.
Give me an example of a healthy or unhealthy relationship and how that relationship has affected you in your development.
Unhealthy relationship, I would say from my parents. They had a very toxic relationship. My dad was very absent. My very first boyfriend, which is my child's father, he was very much, the attributes that he had, the characteristics, the traits that he had were very much like that of my father. Even though he was never really around me, I learned after meeting him a little bit later on in life that they were exactly alike. They were like carbon copies. But that was because I had a bad example of what a father was supposed to be and what a man was supposed to be, which was totally not him, should I say.
Would you state who you are, please?
My name is Nigel K. Friend, and I'm a behavior analyst.
A little bit I saw of my parents' relationship was extremely negative. You know, like I say, my father was abusive. I had a brother who has since passed, who was 10 years older than me, and I saw them go at it, you know. But my father, I think, probably the times that I saw him in my life, I probably can count on one hand, to be honest with you.
Okay.
But even with that, I want to say this. Even with that, my mother being the kind of woman that she is, when he passed, and he was from Pennsylvania, Carlisle, and they buried him in Carlisle. And my mother and uncle and a cousin and myself went to that funeral. And here's a woman that was used and abused by this brother, but her heart, in her heart, she still strived to do the right thing. Those kind of things helped me to grow, first and foremost, and to understand that while we may be in one place today, tomorrow is a new day. So I can't, in essence, with my relationship with my son, I can't stay stuck back in 1970. You know, this is 2013, and again, like the prodigal son. You know, the prodigal son went off and did his thing, but when he came back home, his father embraced him. I would love to have that same type of embrace from my son, but in the meantime, in between time, I just keep lifting him up, and my heart is still open to him as my son. My name is Darrell Smith, and I am the village.
I often share an article I read months ago with some people. It's about an anthropologist that did a study in Africa with a group of African children. He posed a game to him. He said, I'll take this fruit basket and put it by a tree, and whoever gets to it first can keep it on. In response to that, the kids all grabbed hands, they held hands, and they ran together, and they won together. They sat down together and ate that fruit together. Imagine what our homes will be like, our schools will be like, our churches will be like if we had that mentality.
Go. All right. The fact that you get there first, the fact that you could have it all, it does not mean anything unless you can share it with your brother. Does that make sense? Yes. Now let's try it again.
Are you getting my point, people? Yes. Is it beginning to sink in? Yes. We sink, we swim, we rise, we fall, we meet our fate together. Can you hear me? Yes. Can you hear me? Yes. Good. You are not inferior.